Keystone Heights RV Resort in Keystone Heights.
So nice here.
It is nice here. It's a very nice place.
And we'll put up a little video about it probably either later this week or next week. So we're having a lot of fun here. It's a very enjoyable place. Lots of happy campers. That's the biggest thing. It's an adult RV park, so it gives you a little quiet time. It has been windy here. It's been very nice, though. The temperatures have been great.
Yeah, they've been great. They dropped last night to 44, so in comparison, it was like 15 degrees cooler. So,
yeah, it was a little bit cool this morning, but it felt great to get in the hot tub.
yeah, the hot tub was nice. Nobody was in it.
Hi from Germany. Oh, I love
Hey,
it.
Germany. So normally we go to the gym. They have a
Somebody
nice.
said they can't hear very well.
They have a nice fitness center here, so we'll speak up. So we've been hitting the little gym here and then hitting the hot tub almost every day. We have our bikes, so you can bike
Turn the volume
everywhere.
up. Hit this one. Let's see if that's making a difference. All right, can you hear us better
Is
now?
it better now?
Turned it all the way up.
It's all the way up.
Yep, guess we're gonna have to invest in some microphones.
Yep, we don't have a microphone, so the phone is the microphone. So we'll just lean forward.
Let's see, maybe it is this. Go ahead. Talk.
We're making an adjustment here, moving the fan. It was making some background noise. And we'll bring this in a little closer.
We're trying out this little ring light that we got.
Yeah,
Thank you, George, for the ring light.
yeah, thank you. It does make the lighting a lot better.
Okay, that is much better. Good to hear.
Good.
Yeah, the list is long. We still got to get microphones and all these things. So
Right.
we'll work on that when we get some extra money. Got to have the cheddar.
For it to get better.
That's right. No Swiss, because it all goes through the holes.
So we have a lot of questions we've written down from the last live and from chats that have been taking place since then.
So we will get to some of the questions that we have already. One of the first questions someone had is, why did we move to Otter Creek? And we both have different reasons because we moved there at different times. So I'll let Brett start.
So first off, some of these questions might be repetitive, but to the new audience, they can get caught up. So we'll just kind of run through them real quick. I was moving from Alaska and was looking for a campground, and I had family in Chiefland, so it's nearby, and I was talking to a realtor already and was looking for some campgrounds, and she was busy with a client at the time, and so she said, go look at this one in Otter Creek, take an hour or two with them, come back, I'll be done with my client, and we can drive south to these other campgrounds that we had already scheduled to go look at. She did warn me that it's a wet area and that a hurricane had just come through about 3 weeks before. And so I did. I went down there and drove the motorcycle down to Otter Creek from Chiefland and walked around and started talking to the managers at the time. And it was a campground that needed a lot of work, but I could see its potential. So you have to be able to visualize that it was in a good geographic area. I didn't know anything about the town. I didn't know anything about the board. I didn't know anything about the community. I didn't care that there was nothing to do. What I liked was its geographic proximity between Gainesville and Cedar Key, and it's close to Chiefland and Ocala. So it was a good location for a campground, I thought. I thought there was a big draw to the area because it was a rural setting. There was a lot of overgrown trees, and I thought with some maintenance and, if we clean it up, green it up, I thought it would, it could stay full.
So you walked in and fell in love?
I wouldn't fall in love. I was a little overwhelmed with the amount of work it was going to take. But I was like, hey, this is my retirement plan. I got plenty to do right here. So I didn't want to rely on a hobby to keep me, occupied for the next 20 years. I wanted something to keep me busy.
And that it did.
It did. It kept me busy.
It was a lot of work.
It was.
So, and my reasons for moving to Otter Creek was Brett, originally I worked in the post office in Otter Creek, but when I worked at the post office, believe it or not, I had never even driven past the post office into Otter Creek. So I just went to the post office and left every day. So I never even drove through the town or anything like that. And then after me and Brett had got together, that's when I moved to Otter Creek. So it's all Brett's fault that I moved to Otter Creek.
And the post office is located up on the highway, so
yeah, you don't actually have to go.
You don't
in.
see the town. Yeah, the town's behind the post office, so you can go to the post office and leave and never see the town. Yeah.
And there was a lot of nice people that came in and talked to me, and there was also some strange people that came in and talked to me. I guess that's the mix you get in any town.
Right.
Another question someone had asked was, what do your friends and family think about you traveling full time? And I know my friends and family think it's great. So many people have commented that you do not want to wait until you're too old to do anything, and you never know what tomorrow brings.
Right.
So if you get the opportunity, you should just go for it. There's so much to see, so many great people to meet. We worked hard to get to this point in our lives, so now we're going to enjoy it. I can't wait to see everything because I have not been to too many places. I've never even really seen snow.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you. So I'm very excited about that. I don't know if I could ever live in the snow, but I would sure like to visit it and have some fun. So
traveling was more on your front burner.
Yes.
For me, it was more on the back burner because it was always something I wanted to do, but I never thought I was ready. So when we looked at, looking at possibly selling the campground, is this a possibility? I mean, could we get...
Brett really was not interested in selling the campground so soon. I think he had at least a 10-year plan, and I originally had probably a 5-year plan. So I was trying to get that to meet in the middle, but everything kind of, fell into place when I nudged him somewhat, and he just took a shot to make a phone call and said, "Hey, let's find out." So, and I was like, woohoo!
And we both liked working in the campground, but when she got involved with, the mayorship and clerking there for a little bit, I could tell it was wearing on her. It was changing her. She didn't like it.
Well, it's very stressful. It's very stressful when you're working on a board of people that do not want to improve the town and do not have the same goals for the town. So that can be very stressful. And
she felt like she was doing everything by herself, with the exception of a couple people.
Yeah, well, you're fighting with people.
You're fighting.
It's no fun to fight with people, that's for sure. So,
So
maybe that
timeline moved up a little bit.
Yeah. So definitely moved up. But working in the campground was fun, and meeting the people that were in the campground was fun, and of course getting to talk to everybody through Jeremy and George has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we just have met so many great people. Gotta love that. What was another question? I took my glasses off, as you can tell, because people were saying you could see the ring lights and the reflection. So now I got to squint to read. Have you heard of Sus having people give him adult favors for things? I can tell you that I have heard from different people in the town, even when I was working at the post office, that occurred. Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. But I heard it from several different people that there was an exchange of adult favors for things.
Turning water, like if they got back in they were in their arrears for water, certain things could happen, and the water would be turned back on.
Right, and those are people who have lived there for many years, and
they grew up with them.
From what I heard from one person, they actually witnessed it happening at the end of their block,
end of the road,
in his vehicle. So, ew. Another thing is, what do you think of TC's lies and his name calling of the town. What I have to say about that is I think it's sad. I think he could be doing good things for the town and for himself. If any of these people...
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Jess. Aw, you're my hero.
Where's your fufa?
If any of these people put as much energy into doing the bad things that they do, that town would be completely amazing. I just wish that more of them would put their energies into doing good things and not trashing the town and not doing things just for a camera. So that's all I can say about that. I don't know if you have something.
I know TC a little bit, probably a little bit longer. He was always the scrapper guy. He'd run around with his trailer and pick up people's washers and dryers or scrap metal and take it over to Trenton, and they pay you for your scrap, basically a scrapper. As far as I know, he's never held any like 9-to-5 type job. I've never really had any problems with him. I've hired him for I think a couple of small jobs. One that I really remember, I had him help me take down a mobile home. We dismantled it and burned it in place, and then we cut the frame all up and he hauled it off, and I gave him all the scrap metal, plus I paid him several $100s, $400 I think, for the day's work, because me and him did it together and it took about a day. So that's really all I really know of him. Now
I'm going to take the higher road and not really get into a lot of the things about him, because I don't really feel like making my time about him much. I just wanted to quickly answer that question. I do believe he could benefit from some better mentors, and we'll leave it at that. So moving on. Thank you.
Okay.
Some people are misconstrued about what the definition of a Christian is. There's many different criticisms and misconceptions about that. People like to make comments about how can you say stuff about people if you're a Christian? That's not what a Christian does. First of all, there's nobody on this earth that is perfect. The only perfect person to have walked this earth was Jesus. And every day we get up and try our best to be the best people we can be. But we will all fall short of the mark. That is called sin.
So when you see people on other channels and they're kind of making a mistake, or maybe pressure is getting to them, you got to realize a lot of things may be going on in people's personal lives. And if they say something that may sound a little out of character, don't question their Christian faith.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're not
Christian. That doesn't
Christian.
mean they're not Christians.
It means they're human beings.
They're human beings. Christians are not perfect. If they were, then there would be no churches. There would be no need for church. When you're sick, what do? You go to the hospital. When you need to better yourself, what do? You find a church, and you make yourself better. It's not for people that are already fixed. It's for broken people, which is all of us. So that's my 2 cents.
And I don't think religious has anything to do with American or not American. So buckle up. Thank you,
Marcus. Buckle up.
I think everybody should be praying more and trying to do good things every day.
Yeah.
Okay, another question people have been asking, and I understand why they're asking this question. They're asking if Jeremy and George, what the time frame of when they lived in Shady Oaks was. And I know, and when John and Michelle Lacey, Spacey, whatever her name is, when they lived in there. And the facts of the matter are that Jeremy is not lying about any of the situation. They lived there first, Jeremy and George. They came in the end of 2020 and were there through sometime in the beginning of 2021. And John and her lived there the end of 21 into the beginning of 22 sometime. I don't have the exact months. But what Jeremy has been telling you is the truth. Thank you. What the hell?
Thank you.
It's the absolute truth. He's very patient. He didn't come in.
That is my mayor.
He did not come into the town like a whirlwind causing trouble. That's a complete lie. So if you're trying to line up all the facts and see who's telling the truth and who followed who there, Jeremy and George were there first. Oh, we miss you too. And they followed them there. And those are the facts.
Yeah.
Right now, the mayor, people have been asking who the mayor is. Zim is the acting mayor. Then in April's meeting, they will vote on a new mayor. The mayor only goes for a year.
Well, they got to seat the members first.
Yeah, so after that first meeting in April, now there is no election.
There's no election.
It has been posted that Stuart Stewart dropped out, so Laura and Dawn will take those two-year seats, and Carl and Joseph will be in the 2 one-year terms. So there is no election. Those 4 people are in. There's nobody running against them, so they don't need to have an election. So in April at the meeting, they will have a vote and select a new mayor. But until then, Zim will be the one who is the mayor. In my opinion, he is the most qualified at the time. He has served on the board before, so I think he is a good choice.
He really understands permits and construction, and that's kind of what the town needs. They
Right.
do 2 things. They do water management, and now they're in charge of doing their own permitting.
Right, but not many people are
Right.
building there, so it's not
Right,
a
yeah.
huge thing to oversee. So, you know, there's really not a lot going on, and that's why everybody has always said that the town could unincorporate, because there's not really much more than the water going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be a lot less problems if the town did unincorporate. Some people were asking, how does the Form 6 regarding Russell work? So since he's on the board right now and will not be running again because he did not put in his paperwork to run again, he is not required to fill out his Form 6 until July 1st. Same as Zim. Since he's not running and he's a current board member, their deadline to do it is July 1st. Anybody who stayed after January 1st is required to do the Form 6. Now
During qualifications.
Right.
Right.
To be qualified to run.
Correct.
So Russell did not put in to run again, so his term would end and he has to do it by July 1st.
I think he made a mistake not running. Taz, thank you. I think he made a big mistake. A couple of mistakes, actually. I think he made a mistake by not submitting his qualification packet.
We will have differences of opinions on this.
In case he didn't get the 2-year term.
I think he did absolutely what he should have.
Absolutely.
I think he should have just went home a long time ago.
Well, yeah, of course, there's that.
If he cared about the town, he wouldn't be causing so many problems.
I'm thinking of strategy
and that's
from
what
his
I have to
standpoint, what he should have done.
Well,
but
we could go on all day about what he should have done.
Yes, so.
He should.
So hopefully
he should do the right thing. In my opinion, that's what he should do. Period.
So it should be Dawn and Laura getting seated in the 2-year seat. It should be Carl and Joseph getting into the 2 1-year seats. Russell is out.
Carl and Joseph should be put in those seats now.
Yeah.
The lawyer can put them in the seats, but again, Dawn and Russell walked out so that they could not be seated. If you care about the town, you wouldn't have done that.
Right.
I've said that before. And it just makes no sense, all the games.
I think it's inevitable, because what's going to happen now is, now he wants his 2 people to be seated, right? So in order to be seated, you got to have a meeting and a quorum. So if anybody walks out, no one's going to get seated. There's going to be no meeting.
It's just silly.
It's silly.
If he cared about the town, he'd just have those 2 people get seated so the town can carry on moving forward.
And the charter and the ordinances in place currently, some of them are very, I'm not just going to say that they're dated, but they don't address this. They don't address people walking off the board. The charter doesn't give specifics in a lot of cases and things that have been happening there the last couple of years.
Right. And whereas if you read maybe Chiefland or Bronson's ordinances, they're very detailed about a lot of different things.
Because
so
those things have happened.
According to the details of some of those towns, I'm sure some of the people wouldn't be on the board anymore for malfeasance and whatnot.
Correct.
So, and then people were also asking if Laura, Mott, and Don give up their seats, would Russell just get put in to the seats, a seat?
It works just like it does every other year.
How that would work is if Laura and or Don get seated and then decide in a month they're going to give up their seat, they call for letters of interest from people in the town, and the town would have to put in their letter of interest. No, they wouldn't have to fill out all the stuff that you would fill out for the election. Excuse me, it's just a letter of interest. And then the board would vote on who they would choose to fill that seat. So no, they couldn't just walk off and hand Russell the seat. He'd have to put in his letter of interest along with everybody else. But potentially, could I see that happening? Of course, because I've seen it happen before. Mm-hmm. Don did that before.
Don did that. He had Russell beat and gave up his seat to let Russell in. Yeah. And the reason he did it was crazy. He said because everyone was not voting for him, they were voting against Russell.
So
like, so what?
What's really the difference? I mean, again, you're missing the reason that you're there. Right. So that makes no sense. Another thing is people have been asking if Suss is found guilty of corruption, can he still be on the board? Well, that would really be up to the ethics commission,
right,
and how they handle it. When they do their investigation, they decide what you're guilty of and what your punishment for it's going to be. So correct, it all lies into their hands.
It's in their hands.
I mean, if you're asking for my opinion, of course, I think if they found somebody corrupt, they should never be allowed to be on a board again. That's common sense, I would think. So that's my 2 cents and how I feel about it.
I'm seeing a couple quick questions about unincorporating. It's the same as we've always had. It would be hard to unincorporate in this town because no one agrees. Everybody's doing this. There's them and us. There's them and us. Always, everything. So with all the infighting, you have to get over 51% of the residents on a ballot to want to unincorporate for it to happen. Or, of course, get the governorship involved. But we haven't seen them get involved yet. So
if everybody was doing things for the right reason, obviously there wouldn't be all these problems. And if people were interested in the good, it wouldn't need to be unincorporated. But the problem is, in that town, it appears that there's always been problems, people going back and forth, and a power struggle, and people in there for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So in my opinion, if that's the way it's always going to be and there's going to be all these problems, then obviously you should unincorporate to avoid that. It's just pretty simple.
It's a cute little town if everybody would just stop all the arguing and the meetings and all this.
So I don't know. Maybe again, if people just would come to Jesus and pray more and leave all the pettiness somewhere else in the trash can, then things would be good.
Let me mention something too about the Form 6. We've heard, but we haven't been able to verify on any website, and maybe some of you have found it. We have not found it. We heard that they excluded small municipalities of 500 people or less from doing the Form 6. So that's something new. We know nearly 200 small town board members, when the Form 6 first came out,
resigned.
They resigned. So
and
a
there
lot
was
of
a
good people
lawsuit.
were lost.
And I don't know how many cities were involved in the lawsuit. So they're saying because of that lawsuit that this is the outcome, and they relooked at it and made these small towns exempt. Yeah. But I have not seen that. I saw an article about it. Someone did ask, would I consider stepping back in as mayor if I was asked to and the Form 6 wasn't mandatory? Absolutely. I would absolutely consider that. So that's a good question.
That's our mayor.
Another one was people were asking about the county meeting we went to.
Oh.
And why we went to this county meeting. we have been to county meetings before. We haven't been to many ourselves, but we were made aware that they were talking about two important subjects that eve or morning. Actually, they did that one in the morning. Sometimes they do them in the morning and sometimes in the evening. So we were told that they were doing that one. There was going to be something regarding their budget because the financial director had recently resigned all of a sudden, and that they were looking to take over their budget themselves without needing any approvals. And that would absolutely, in my opinion, lead to some very corrupt things. So the clerk's office, the county clerk's office, oversees the financial doings in the county, and they have a financial director out of the clerk's office who handles it. So, and from what we understood at that meeting, they are going to be hiring another person to oversee that in time for the budget. So they shouldn't have to take it over themselves.
We wanted to see how they were going to replace that person. If the CFO, for lack of a better term, if the CFO was going to stay with the courts, then you still have kind of a separation of powers.
Which you should always have,
right,
when it comes to finances.
But if the board was going to be taking over their own finances, I just saw some problems with that. Because a lot of those board members, they all own businesses.
Yeah, that's
in
super
the town,
crazy.
some of them.
Because according to the article
Conflict
we read,
interest.
which there's a Facebook page, the Spotlight of Levy County. It's on Facebook, and there was a lady who asked several questions during the meeting. Her name is Linda Cooper. She asked several questions, stood up and asked during the meeting, but she does write on that site about the happenings, and she was mentioning Mr. John Meeks because he owns the Ace Hardware in Bronson, where the county makes a lot of purchases every month. So that kind of looks hokey why that's happening that way.
And is it the only plumbing store in town? It's not the only one in the county.
Not the only one in the county, for sure. And I mean, I would have to imagine that Ace Hardware in itself is more expensive. Wouldn't a trip to Gainesville and go to Lowe's or Home Depot be more worth it?
Ace Hardware has that thing if you need it really bad right now, that important
for
thing.
emergencies.
For emergencies.
But otherwise, I'm driving to Gainesville.
We drive to Gainesville. We were doing the plumbing in the back. Very few times did we go to a town, a close plumbing store.
Because you're going to Gainesville anyway to hit the Publix, because there's no Publix in Levy County. The Sam's Club is in Gainesville. So you're running all your errands at once.
Right.
The Ace Hardwares are absolutely more expensive.
They are more expensive.
And I feel like that's a huge conflict of interest if one of your commissioners owns it.
And
so
that one in Bronson does not give a military discount. The one in Chiefland does give a 10% military discount. So that right there.
And we've shopped at the one in Chiefland many a times. The people in there are very helpful, very knowledgeable. We never had a bad experience there. But overall, I'm not going to go there if I don't have to. Right.
There's cheaper places to buy stuff.
Again, I just think it's a huge conflict of interest, being that he owns it. And people are asking who all the commissioners are. So I'll tell you, going from right to left when you were watching it, all the way on the right, that is Rock Meeks. That is Russell's son. Right next to him is John Meeks, which is Russell's cousin.
I believe so.
I believe cousin. And then in the middle is Desiree Mills.
And she was the chair, so she was running the meeting.
And she did a great job
running
the meeting.
They take turns with that chair position.
I don't know the rotation of that.
Yeah, because I've seen Matt Brooks doing it before.
Right. And then next to him was Tim Hodge.
Now, Tim Hodge is our representative for District 4, which is Otter
Creek. And then on the end, all the way to the left, was Matt Brooks. He is up for elections. He's running for the clerk of court.
Clerk of courts.
So, and John Meeks is up right now running for another term of his district. So they will have
Beauchamp to wrestle. I'm not really sure, but
I'm sure they all know each other very well because they've worked closely together.
I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Is it Beauchamp? Am I saying it right?
I think so.
there are a lot of boat champs in the Chiefland area.
But
actually.
all these people have been there for a long time. They've
Yep.
all been working together. So even if they're not related, which, as you know, 2 of the commissioners are related to Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not related, they have been working closely together for a long time.
And they grew up together. So that's how the good old boy system gets built.
Right.
It's the same people over and over and over and over.
You know, so hopefully there'll be some new people coming in at some point. That would be great. Mm-hmm. And people just need to start doing the right thing. It's not about who you're related to. And
thank you, Kilobyte.
It's just about doing the right thing. If I had a family member who's doing the wrong thing, I'm not just going to go along with it.
Right.
I'm going to tell them they need to do the right thing. Otherwise, they need to go over there and stay away from me until they get themselves right. I mean, we can still talk and all those things, but I'm not going to go along with them doing the wrong things. And I'm not going to approve of it just because we're related.
Correct.
So I'm going to try to counsel them and help them to do the right things, but I'm not going to go along with the wrong things just because we're blood. Absolutely not. And another thing that was going on there was they were talking about the Waukesasa water. Mayor Parton, who is the mayor of Bronson.
So you see how all these things are tied?
He was
it's
there.
Always the same players.
He was there they're trying to ask the county to appoint a board member.
So explain what the Waukesasa board is first.
Okay, that board is made up of, right now, Bronson, Otter Creek, and Cedar Key, the Cedar Key water, I believe. Yeah. Now, when they built the board, they made it so other people can join in the future. Now, the pipeline will run through, I think it'll start somewhere in Bronson and run through all the way to Cedar Key. So it's going to run through Otter Creek.
It's going to run through Goethe Forest to Otter Creek. That'll be the first stop, or the first tap in. Then it will go to the unincorporated towns of, what is this? Not Sumner. Rosewood and...
I think there is a Sumner over there.
They're right next to each other. And then it'll continue on to Cedar Key.
So those places might need to tie in as well. And those are run by the county. So that's why you would want the county involved in it. Now, the county lawyer was telling them they really need to review things and make sure it's the right decision, because there's financial tie-ins. And absolutely, anytime you enter in any kind of agreement, you should always look it over and make sure that the wording is right, that you're signing to.
So back up a little bit. So the Waukesasa board is overseeing the pipeline, the water supply, to bring the sewer line back, to bring good water and through Otter Creek, the other towns, and to Cedar Key.
Because the biggest problem is Cedar Key, because they're right on the water, and if there's hurricanes or any disasters like that, that could lead to a huge mess. Correct. If the sewage goes out into the ocean. So that's one of the biggest concerns, I think, for the state, and why the state is going to be backing that as much as they are.
So the board lost a board member. That's what I kind of want to go back to. That's why they're looking for another board member. So we wanted to know how they're going to replace that member. So we went, and they said they want to replace that member with a member of the county council. I was like, I didn't see that coming. That's interesting. I'm not for or against it.
I don't think they lost a member of their board. I think what they're doing is they're going to be assigning I had heard something about a new lawyer for the board, because the lawyer that was working for the board, I guess, was doing kind of financial mess. So it had nothing to do with what you're.
Guess who their attorney was?
Their attorney was Mr. Worm, and he was
He
was not doing that out of the good of his heart. No. So anyway, and I don't know any more details about that.
Well, I had heard that there was some misbilling going on, and
well, I'm sure
he was asked to produce receipts, and
I'm sure there was, because he has a habit of putting an asterisk at the bottom of his bills, saying other things that he did, and he's not going to go into detail about what he did. He's just going to charge you an amount and say, oh, just miscellaneous. And if somebody is billing me, I don't just pay miscellaneous money. I want to know all the details. So I'm sure he was doing the same thing there. So in my opinion, I wouldn't have him as an attorney in any fashion. I know he's also Bronson's attorney, but he does not do things out of the good, and he's very unprofessional in his behaviors and the way he speaks to people. I had a few run-ins with him where he was not speaking to myself or Belinda professionally at all, and I was alarmed to see someone that age who's been in that profession for that long talking to people the way he does. So it's just shameful. So hopefully that board does get a great attorney that will help them move forward. And I think Bronson should also get a new attorney as well. And that's my opinion about that.
Yeah, that's our opinion.
So I wanted to see what exactly was going on with that, because even though I'm not in Otter Creek anymore, Otter Creek still holds a place in my heart. So I want to make sure that they're getting the things they need.
It's like a lot of our viewers, they don't live there, but they want to see it do well.
Right. So, I mean, the love and the pouring out of all y'all for the town, it just, it makes my heart so happy to see people.
To be happy, right?
Yeah, to see people that want such good. I wish y'all lived there. Yeah. That's what that town needs more of. So, I don't know. Then I think the next meeting, I want to say, I have to look it up again for the Wakasasa, is in Cedar Key, and I wanted to say it was maybe on the 20th. They usually do it around 1, but I'll double check on that.
Yeah.
I know the next town meeting for Otter Creek is Tuesday, March 19th at 7 p.m.
We will be there. We'll be filming that live, so we'll be there for that.
That's right. As long as I'm around, I will be there.
Yeah.
Another thing that people were asking about is how is it living in the RV? What new things have you discovered? What things are maybe annoying you?
So, as many of you know, and a lot of people have different reasons. If you looked at the other videos on the Ocala RV show, that was an awesome show, and we didn't even show all the RVs, nor did we.
There were so many. I was shocked. It must have took them a long time to set that up.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And you know, we were just going there to drool all over the place. Not that we need a new RV. We just got a new RV. Right. So, and this is the absolute right size for what we want to do right now.
It's a 25-foot, and it's on a Sprinter chassis, and it's a Mercedes, so it's very reliable. So I wanted reliability, I wanted affordability, I wanted enough space, but space wasn't a priority. I just wanted enough space to keep the coach small and maneuverable so she can drive it, so I'm not always having to drive it. Or if something should happen to me, she's not stuck out in Timbuktu and can't get it back home.
I'm sure with training I could drive a bus, but there's a lot of places you can't go to when you have a huge rig like that. So, and going to Alaska, which is our plan for this summer, we want something that we can maneuver all over the place and easy for boondocking.
And afford to drive it.
Right.
Like this towing the Jeep, and it does a great job towing the Jeep. It gets about 11 to 12 miles per gallon. If you have a big bus, you're talking 6 miles per gallon. So it's twice as efficient.
Yeah, right now this
you don't need
economy
all that
is not
space.
Great. The gas is expensive.
Yeah, there's only 2 of us. There's no kids. There's no pets, and you know that's why we sized it for us. It's
he
only
still
going
thinks
to be
my
us.
pet rock is not a real pet, by the way.
It doesn't take up any space. Okay. So there are a couple things with this coach we do have to do. It's a Murphy bed, so the Murphy bed, you know, has to go up and down, but that's okay. It's maneuverable, and a lot of times when you're doing something, you have to get it out, use it, clean it, and then put it back. So you're doing a lot of that.
Yeah, you're maneuvering around, and I have collapsible bins that I use.
Right.
and we just move them around. Yes, it takes a few more minutes, but
it's a lot of repositioning of things.
In the reality of things, it's a very
small. I think in the interest of saving on fuel and space, I think
it's a small inconvenience.
Yeah, it's a small inconvenience.
So, and you know, you got to be patient with each other.
Yeah.
Because you will be bumping into each other. The cooking is very different because you don't have your big kitchen.
You don't have a lot of counter space here.
There's not a lot of counter space, and you don't have an oven in here. There is a convection microwave oven, but they're not the same. And I do like to bake, so...
And a large part of the counter space is the burners and the sink. So the sink has these panels that sit down on it to give you counter space. But if you're wanting to use the sink and have counter space, you got to kind of pick one or the other and put it back.
Right.
So that's part of the move it, put it back, move it, put it back that I'm talking about.
You better communicate with each other effectively.
Yeah, I don't mind.
And keep a smile on your face and just be patient. It's not that big of a deal. You got all the time, so whoop-de-whoop.
Yeah.
Just deal with it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, I think it's a great trade. Would I rather do this or go bust my buns at the post office? Gee, I wonder. By the way, we only have one Sunday left at the post office, and I'm so thrilled about that. I've worked for the post office since 2005. And
thank you, Blade.
Since 2005, and it's been a lot of hard work. I've done a lot of different positions in there.
Why you resigned, and
I'll get to that in just a second. So it's been a lot of hard work getting to this point in our lives, so I think a little inconvenience is not going to bother me that much. I'd rather live this way than killing myself every day. So now, what was the question?
Why did you resign as mayor?
Okay, we'll take that one first. So as most of you know, I know some people coming in don't know the story, so it's repetitive. So the reason I resigned as mayor is because the Form 6 came out, and anybody who stayed after January 1st had to fill out the Form 6. So the Form 6 is very intrusive, and you basically have to claim anything that's worth more than $1,000. So you're basically telling the whole world what is in your home that's worth more than $1,000. And also, if you make any mistakes on that, you could be fined $20,000. So I think it's way too intrusive. Originally, the Form 1 that people were filling out was very vague. The Form 6 is too much. So they really need to revamp it and go somewhere in the middle. So hopefully now they will look at that. Thank you, Helen. Love you too. They'll look at that and do something better, because there's a reason that they put it into play. I just don't think they thought it out well for the smaller municipalities. So, and there's a huge difference with some of the mayors of these huge cities who are making a lot more money versus some of the municipalities who, some of them volunteer and don't even get paid at all. So I wouldn't want to fill out all that information when I'm not even getting paid for sure. Yeah. And what was the other question?
I forget the second part of that question.
For shame. I think it was something about why Lynette hasn't been arrested.
Yeah.
So my guess of why she has not been arrested yet is because people are not doing their jobs. Yeah. I'm really not understanding what is the big problem. There's a piece of paper with things clearly written out. A judge took the time to do that paperwork and make a ruling on it. Why it's not being adhered to is beyond me. There's a reason these things are put in place. People's lives are at danger when you're not following the things that are put in place to protect people. So it's just chaos.
It's very disturbing. When I was in the campground, even before we got married, I was there 6 years. And the first couple of years there, I had some issues with getting some people evicted. There were 4 or 5, right? I think I evicted maybe 6 people the whole 6 years, and 4 of them were in their first year. So I'd call the cops, and they would say it's a civil matter. You got to go through the courts to get them evicted. No, you don't. No, you don't. Now, if you read the chapters, I don't have it in front of me anymore, but if you read the chapters on RV parks, they're not like motels. They're not the same thing. They have their own regulations. You can cut the power. You can cut because
well, they are more like motels. They're not like apartments.
They're not like apartments. You can cut the power to them and force them out because they are supposed to be fully self-contained units.
But
so you don't have
outside of that, we called them for somebody shooting a gun out of their RV window, and they did nothing. So people's lives were at risk. I really don't understand that. And I've lived in Florida most of my whole life, and I can tell you I've never had the problems with law enforcement across Florida as in Levy County. So I'm not really sure what is going on there.
I'd like to know who would complain if they would arrest Lynette. Who's going to complain? They're doing their job, right? Well, they're just doing their job. There's a protective order in place, and they're not enforcing it.
Well, since when do they care if people
They're required to enforce it. Yeah, you got all these people with valid complaints.
So
you can shut them up by doing your job.
I don't really understand. It's the same as the judge. I don't really understand why they're not doing their job.
Judge Thomas.
There's definite bias.
He's a joke.
Bias.
Yeah, bias.
There's definitely bias there, and I just don't understand.
They definitely should have done more of due diligence on selecting this judge because he's a joke.
I mean, what about the people who have to deal with all of that? She's affecting people's lives and wreaking havoc on a lot of lives. So what about those people? They don't deserve anything good? Just too bad for you.
So you're going to pick up for the people that are doing bad, and then the good people are left just have to suck it up?
And if there is mental health issues, which mental health issues are no joke. So if that is the case, then why aren't you putting something into place to help those people? You know, that's all I have to say about that. I mean, nobody's doing their job. It's sad, and people's lives are at risk.
Everybody has a job to do. The judge should be listening to both sides, not talking about himself, but listening to both sides. Let both sides, okay, you got anything to add? Nope, you're done. Okay, you're done. Shut up.
I have absolutely never seen
it's ridiculous.
A courtroom run that way. Never.
I think they're just trying to squeeze every ounce of money they can out of Jeremy until
it's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. You know, and Mark Feather, he's a wonderful human being.
Mark Feather!
It's shameful the way he's treated in that courtroom. He's a professional.
I know Mark Feather too personally.
He does a great job, and outside of that, he's just a great person.
He is.
So it's just shameful the way people are being treated. You know, don't we matter? Don't the people in the town of Otter Creek matter who have had to deal with all of that?
Right.
And believe me, it has been a lot.
Yeah. What else you got? You're getting me riled up. Law enforcement, just do your job. Just do your job.
People wanted to know what RV you recommend.
It depends on your budget. It really depends on your budget. First of all, we like the Tiffins. The Tiffins are a high-end motor coach. They build the Class A's, the Allegra Bays, top of the line. But who was it? Now the name escapes me. But they were bought out by Thor. Thor bought them out, and so now Thor was more of a Class C specialty type. They'd sell other stuff, but they were mostly a Class C specialty. So now, with them having bought out the Class A high end, and Thor is more of a middle upper quality Class C, you merge those two together, and you get a high quality Class C. So I was excited to see that they had.
So it's super classy.
It's super classy.
You like my dad jokes?
Yeah, I like that.
Classy.
So I like the Tiffins for the motorhomes. I also like the Grand Designs if you're getting a coach. They got towables, they got fifth wheels, and yes, fifth wheels would be ideal. They do give more space for less money. You can get a high-end Grand Design for 70 to 90,000, maybe 60,000 used, and I'm talking a nice one.
I can't believe the space some of those have, but I mean, to tow that around also.
We don't have a truck. If we had a truck, we definitely would have went with the fifth wheel, but since we don't have a truck, and you have to buy a truck and a trailer, you might as well, for the same money, buy a Class C.
You know, who knows, years down the road, we might switch up what we want to be doing. Mm-hmm. You know, everything changes. you can have goals and make timelines of things in your life, but different circumstances will change those goals, and you have to constantly revamp all that. So, and you should set goals for yourself. I think it's important to set goals every year for yourself. I do. I was a little late in with it this year.
And some of these travel trailers that you saw in the RV show, they look really glamorous, but sometimes the quality is not great. Like they'll last a couple years, and if you got kids and dogs, they're not going to last long if you camp full time in them. A lot of them are not meant to be lived in full time. The Grand Designs are built to last full. They're for full time, living. But dogs and kids can be rough on a
And the recommendations also are going to be different whether you have kids, whether you have pets, what your traveling goals are. Right. So you have to gear all those things more towards you. You have to cater
to how you plan to travel. We don't plan to stay in one place probably more than a month. So unless we're at a base, and you might get 2 months out of it. But we plan to hit a place. So you're going to be setting up and tearing down. So Class C is perfect for us. Now, if we were settled down, let's say we were 15 years older, and we liked it here, we wanted to stay here, I'd look at a travel trailer for sure. I'd get a great big clunky, huge 5 slide out travel trailer and just pay someone to tow it for me, set it here and leave it here.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I would do.
And maybe then we'll be in a different place. I see some people were commenting about Lynette starting a GoFundMe last night because she likes to copy everything Jeremy does. Well, good for her. Yeah. All I can tell anybody is, and I'll say that with any GoFundMe or any charity or anything you're going to donate to, do your homework. Make sure you're donating for the right reasons. Make sure your money is going to the right things, because there's plenty of people that donate to different charities, for example, that the money is not allocated properly to the different things. There's CEOs getting paid big money that shouldn't be, and all that. So you should always do your homework when you're donating money, giving money to any charity or person. Yeah. And I personally would not give my money to people that are doing wrong things. So that's all I can tell you about that. Do your homework, people, before you give anybody money. And what else? So people want to know what's our next big adventure.
Oh,
and
we do have one set up. We do have one set up. Just a few days ago, we called and we got an opening. It's usually hard to get an opening. We got waterfront. We got full utilities for 12 days. It's already paid for. And we're going to
the Keys.
The Keys.
Woohoo!
Key West.
Oh, it's going to be so awesome.
We're going to the Naval Air Station there, and we're going to be camped there. We'll have full utilities. They also have over 500 spots that are in dry camping areas. So
I am so stoked.
We could even decide to extend and move over to a dry camping spot.
Yeah, I've never been on that base.
Yeah.
And Brett really hasn't spent any time in the Keys.
No, we went down. It was at night. We had done a tow and we dropped the trailer and we were heading back.
Yeah,
all we did was a 2 a.m. buoy picture and we left.
Yeah, we also dropped a boat. Was it the same time we dropped the boat, or was it two trips? I don't remember. But it was just pretty much down and back. Didn't really get to see anything. So it was a little bit of a ripoff for him. Now, when I grew up in the Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale area, so we would drive down there almost every weekend just because we were bored. So we spent a lot of time in the Keys growing up. I camped there in tents, all kinds of good stuff, fished off the bridges, super cool. Yeah. But it's been quite a few years since I spent any extensive time there. So super excited for that. And we got to plan what we're going to do there. Now, I've never been to the Dry Tortugas, so that would be something cool to do.
Yeah, we'd like to get that, but we've heard that there's a waiting list to get on that, too.
Yeah, everything has a waiting list in Florida.
We'll look at that, because on the base, they have what's called an ITR office. I believe they call it ITT now. It's Information, Tour, and Travel, and you can get all your discount tickets through them.
Yeah.
So all those.
There's so many good things to do there.
I do that.
Yeah, I want to do it again. I've been parasailing there before. It was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I absolutely want to do that again with Brett. Snorkeling I've done there before.
Yeah.
Way cool. I know when I went, we were snorkeling right over top of a shark, and that was a little cray-cray, but it was so much fun. I want to do it again. Pompano. Yes. My father lived in Pompano. We spent some time there near the mall.
Pompano or Pompano?
Brett, when he first saw it, he called it Pompano.
I thought it was Pompano.
And I thought it was
Pompano.
so funny. There's another one.
Actually, Pompano sounds better.
it gives it a little flair. But he used to say, what's the other one? Dania.
Dania.
You say how? Dania or something. Dania.
Yeah.
But it's Dania. So, and anybody who's around there knows the good ice cream place to go to, Jackson's. Can't go through there without going to Jackson's Ice Cream.
We got to do a shout out. We did get in touch with George, and they're heading back up from the Keys. So if you guys are watching, or somebody knows you who's watching, you need to go to Jackson's Ice Cream. We know you guys are coming up the Atlantic coast, I guess.
The only dilemma with them going there is the parking. I don't know where you would park.
Yeah, there's no parking.
I don't know where you would park a big rig anywhere near there.
But Jackson's,
I don't even know where we would park ours, but believe me, I know those streets like the back of my hand, so I will find a place to park, and we're going to get some of that delicious ice cream.
George does a travel channel, and he's the sister of...
He's the brother.
The brother. I'm sorry. I'm getting it flipped around.
That's George's brother. They have a channel called Taking a Risk. Yes. RIZK. Check them out. They have little kids and they travel. God bless them. I don't know how they can do it, but they do it. So especially if you got kids and travel, definitely check them out. They've been enjoying the Keys recently too. So it'll be nice to get some tips from them on what is good to do and what was no good to do.
So Jackson's it's in Dania, right?
It's in Dania.
I always mess it up.
It is delicious. They've been there for over 50 years.
Yeah, Google it. It is a tight little parking lot that it's in. It's in kind of a strip mall, and it's on the far left side. You might be able to. It just depends on the time of day that you roll in there.
Yeah, they do have food there as well, and it's a lot of antiques inside there. They're world famous.
They're world famous. There's one location.
They make all their own ice cream.
Jackson's with an X.
It's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, they've been on radio shows, talk shows, 60 Minutes, 20.
Whenever I go through South Florida, there is some good eating. So that is one of the places I like to stop. Another one is Las Fadas. Las Fadas subs. They are delicious, and anybody who knows. That is the bomb.
What's that?
Brett likes Flanagan's.
Flanagan's. I like Flanagan's.
That's another good restaurant.
Kind of a surf and turf place.
So some people were asking how the new owners of Shady Oaks are doing.
They're doing fine.
Yep, they're doing good.
If they're not calling me, everything's good.
They really love it there, and they're great people. So I'm so happy for them. Yep. They're putting their touches on the park, which is great. Yep. When you basically are giving up a place that you've put so much into, you're hoping the new people love it just as much as you did and want to put in good stuff there, and they're wonderful people. Janelle and Rex, they're doing great, and we cheer them on. Yep. So we want everyone to thrive. That's what people should be doing, of course, looking out for each other and helping each other.
Someone says, why are you ignoring super stickers? We're not ignoring them. They scroll off so fast, and as you can see, we have a bunch right here. We have a bunch of notes and stickers of questions that have been asked, and we're going to get to them. We just may not get to them during the live because they scroll off the screen. So we don't mean to ignore the super stickers.
We're very thankful for everybody.
Thankful for those. We will go back and look at them and write all the questions down, and we'll hit it up on the next.
And don't forget,
reply to you too.
We're newbies.
And we're newbies.
So we're not as seasoned as Jeremy and George. They are the professionals. And kudos, we love them, but we are not Jeremy and George, and we always look up to them, and they help us out with tips and tricks. Hi, Deborah, we love you. So we'll get there we're learning, so be patient with us. We appreciate you all.
I think the ring light was a good option. The light's a lot better, I can tell.
Yeah, that was a gift from George. Thank you so much.
Sun in the back, and this is a dark area. So.
But we're getting there. Eventually, we'll get microphones.
Yeah.
And we'll get all these things. I know I have a list of things. I just ordered a holder for my phone to put on my bicycle for when we're in the Keys.
Yep. So we're not taking Jeep to the Keys because we hear that the driving down there is a little cray-cray. So there's no need.
There's not really. It's not.
The whole island is 5.6 miles. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Love you too. So, I mean, you can get around that whole place on a bicycle. So we're just taking the bikes. So we can put them on the back rack on the back of the RV, and
it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to try being on the
base. Let me tell you this: being on the base, and then I called a place that's off the base.
The price
difference is night and day. I would not even go and pay what they want, almost $3,000 a month.
Yeah,
for a
well,
place.
That's not really in our budget at the moment.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
And even if it was, I don't know if I
Travis,
could be okay with spending that money.
Travis Willis in the house.
Hey, Travis. We haven't seen you in a while. Look forward to seeing you at some point.
Yeah. I
know you've been super busy as well.
So on the base, it's $47 full hookups, and every site is on the water. It's amazing. You have the commissary, you have the base exchange there, you got the gyms, you got they have
a bowling alley.
They have a bowling alley. So they have everything. They have a pool. They have everything that a resort would have on a budget.
Yeah.
$47 a
bowling.
day, 12 days. You do the math. What is that? That's a fraction of what you spend off the base. I mean, if it wasn't on the base, I wouldn't be going.
Right. No, we don't have a golf cart, so we'll just be pedaling. No. We don't even have e-bikes.
We got regular pedal bikes.
Yeah, we got a pedal. Those e-bikes are a little too pricey right now, so who knows?
Maybe one day.
One day,
when
but
we
not
sold
right
the campground, the golf cart went with the campground. That was a working golf cart anyway. And
yeah,
the truck went with the campground because that's an old truck. I didn't want to take that to Alaska. So
well, it didn't serve us anymore.
It didn't serve us anymore.
So all those things are needed when you have the campground. So
yeah.
There's, the new owners need them.
And we don't want to really tow a golf cart around. I mean, you can ride a bike anywhere you want to ride, and if you need more than a bike, you
they rent them also. If there's an occasion where you needed it, you could rent a golf cart. You can rent e-bikes, all those things. And yeah, pedaling is much better. And I need to lose some weight, so pedal.
And we did pretty good on the bikes. We got a couple of Townies. They're called Townies. It's a brand.
They're super nice.
They're really nice. I like the way they ride. They're aluminum frames.
Yeah, we got those from a nice couple off of Marketplace in the Villages.
Yeah.
So they were barely used. We got a great deal on them.
Yep.
Those were good. We need to visit the Villages soon.
Yeah.
They always have cool concerts there, and there's lots of fun stuff to do.
And what's that, Johnny Rockets?
Yeah, you like Johnny Rockets. They have good milkshakes.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different little squares in the Villages you can have a good time at. I think we know a couple people who live in the Villages.
Yeah,
maybe we
could.
So
Fort Wainwright's in Fairbanks. Yeah, we'll go up there and visit. We're actually going to try to get on the base. Used to be called Glass Park. As soon as you go in the front gate, you hang a left. It's right there along the Chena River. Some people call it China River. It's Chena River.
Chena?
It's Chena.
Chena.
And the sites, they're not all on the water, but they're close to the water. And we're trying to get in there. It's a fairly new park. It's been there, within the last 10 years. It's a newer park, not a brand new park, but a newer park. Thanks, Mark. What else you got? If you have questions, go ahead and send them. We'll try to catch them.
I don't know. I know. Yeah, Jessica.
Jessica.
We do love the Villages.
The Fupa.
We're going to hang out.
What's it called?
You don't even know
I
what you're saying.
I forget the name of it. I said the wrong word.
They're loofahs.
Loofahs.
Oh my goodness.
Loofahs.
Don't even get into that whole mess. Anyway, the Villages are fun. We got to go there soon. We do need to spend some time in Cedar Key because it's been a while since we've been over there. Stump knockers? Yes.
You know what that is?
Well, it might be different. There's a restaurant named Stump Knockers.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
But yeah, I want to go to the Villages. I want to go to Cedar Key.
Who writes the charter?
Oh, who writes the charter? That is the board.
Yeah.
The board writes it out. I think the clerk is supposed to write any of the ordinances. The lawyer is supposed to look them over.
Right.
Then they are advertised.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James. They are advertised and voted on. So there's resolutions and ordinances.
Are we still a resident of Otter Creek?
Well,
it depends. We're still registered to vote there, but right now we don't have a residence. So our driver's license still says Otter Creek. So yeah,
you might have to buy some property. I heard Tubetown was coming.
Hey, is Tubetown coming?
I'm gonna be the mayor. Thank you, Carrie. So yeah,
somebody sent an email with the question.
Okay,
Carrie, we'll look at that. We're using her phone to video, so we'll look at that.
We'll be the mayor of Tubetown. So yeah, we'll have to see if there's any property for sale. You never know. That's one thing about life. You just never know what's going to happen.
Someone said Lake Superior in Canada is beautiful. I bet it is. I've never been to Eastern Canada. Right across from Detroit. I've been right across the border there. I think it was Windsor and back during the day.
Yeah, well, we definitely need to make time to spend in Canada. I know a few people told us you will make a huge mistake if you don't take some time to spend in Canada.
Yeah.
Right now we're staying at Keystone RV Resort, and we met a nice gentleman in the pool.
Hey,
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
And he is from Canada, and he was telling us about some of the places we need to see.
There's his brother was mayor of Winnipeg.
So it's pretty cool, all the people you get to meet. We've met so many people here, and I hope I don't botch up your names, but we met a nice couple at the pool, Karen and Dan. I'm hoping I got that right. If not, please forgive me. They were so nice to talk to when we first got here. Yeah. So that's the one great thing about all the people camping. You ride your bike through here, everybody's waving at each other, talking, comparing different places to stay, and everybody's giving you the tips on best experiences in Alaska, Canada.
I would like
wherever.
to see the Upper Peninsula of Michigan too sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see everything, but there's so many places I want to see. I want to go to Montana,
I want
Arizona.
her to listen to the loons. The loons, you got to get up into.
I've been listening to the loons in Otter Creek.
Yeah, these are nice loons.
Oh my goodness.
They got loons in like the upper states all the way up to southern Alaska. Fairbanks doesn't have them, but down around Anchorage they have them. So can't wait to get up there.
Yeah, so far I've just been listening to them on YouTube. So
I've been through Canada to Alaska several times. I think 6 round trip times. British Columbia. The next province over, I've been through that one, and next one over to Winnipeg. That's as far over as I've been, and then I went down. But most of the time I went through BC and just BC.
After all these years, what's your best description of Don? Well, when I first moved there, he was very friendly. He actually wanted me to be the clerk. He wanted me to be on the board. But then during the meetings and everything, he's fighting. So I think he may have a bit of dementia. That's my opinion. It would appear that he seems to have a little confusion going on during times. He's always been nice to me outside of the meetings and the fighting. When the meeting would end, he'd tell me what a great job I did. Very confusing.
Line up the loon.
So, and I know someone asked, if we don't answer the questions on here, when will they get answered? I will answer them the next time we're on here. And someone said we should use code names for everybody. So questions will be answered in other lives. So if you do ever ask a question or you email it to us, I'll try to cover it in the next live whenever I can. If we missed a question, I'm sorry. We try to get as many as we can covered. That's a funny question.
What's that?
Where are we going to hide Russell for the trip? Nowhere. He's definitely not invited.
If he does go, he won't make it back.
I'll kick him out at the first stop.
So, those of you that have gone across Canada, where's the best border? I've been to the Pacifica. That's the big one. And I've been to smaller ones. Thank you, St. Patty's. Am I saying that right?
Hi from France.
France. Hi. France in the house.
All right. I could go for some French pastries.
North Dakota.
They want to know when. What's the time frame of you'll be going to Alaska?
I have an eye appointment with a specialist.
Falls, yes.
Yeah, Niagara Falls is on our list. On April 23rd. I know it's a while, so we're going to do these other little trips in between while we're waiting to finish the appointment.
Are you debunking something else here right now?
Debunk. Hey.
Because I heard that the whole reason we are staying in town is to make sure people get seated on the board correctly.
Guess what? We have nothing to do with the people getting on the board.
Debunking some things?
We hope.
We're in town waiting on doctor's appointments.
We're waiting on doctor's appointments and for it to thaw out up north.
Yes.
So I don't want to. Yeah, you can drive in the wintertime, but I'm not.
I don't recommend it if you don't have to. I'm not
going to load chains for the RV through Canada. No. So we're going to wait for all the snow to clear, and we're towing the Jeep, so we want to make sure the roads are good and clear.
So it'll probably be early June-ish, right?
No.
I mean, we're not going to, or maybe late May. We're not going to stay around this area that late, but we'll start heading up and checking things out along our way.
I would say anytime after April 24th, we're subject to start heading north.
Yes.
Now we want to go towards Virginia. I got family I want to visit up there.
And of course I have to go to Ohio to see my sister and my nieces and nephews because I love them and miss them.
Time and weather permitting, we may stop through Tennessee or Kentucky.
I'd love to stop through Tennessee. I love Tennessee.
We'll see. And then make our way up through Canada. We don't exactly have a route planned yet. So we just ordered.
We're terrible planners.
We just ordered the milepost. I know that's a nice book to have. It gives you every blot, every mile of the highway going up there. It gives you a lot of other information too. It's got pull-out maps for $20. It's a great book. So we got a new one coming. We just ordered it. What else we got?
I don't know.
Have any of y'all in the chat been to Hyder, Alaska? There's a road that cuts right over to Hyder, goes into Hyder, and it dead ends in Hyder. So it's like you can step across into Alaska and come right back. I always thought it would be neat to go there, maybe go to the post office there, check it out.
The post office.
Probably one chair and a desk.
You got a thing for post offices, don't you? You would think he's the one who worked at the post office forever.
I think I'm getting my fill of the post office.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I wouldn't even still be there if it wasn't for him. He was so excited to get to work at the post office. That's the reason I've been there a couple years longer.
And being here at the resort in Keystone Heights, we had to drive to Chiefland to deliver packages yesterday, and it was an hour and 20 minutes. You
weren't loving the post office that day, were you?
We were up early that day. But it's one day a week. That's it. And
one more Sunday.
One more Sunday. We're done.
So that's bye-bye post office. I've met a lot of people working in the post office. They are hard workers. A lot of people don't appreciate them as much as they should.
I promise we'll get to your super sticker questions. We just don't have a laptop on the side.
Yeah, that's another thing that's on the list is a laptop because I have an old Chromebook and it kind of stinks. Yeah. So that's another thing on the list, but you know, my money tree is not as plentiful as I'd like it to be. So we have Sunday Amazon.
Yeah, Sunday Amazon, yeah.
We can only buy things in increments. So yeah, the post office does have a position called an ARC, an ARC, and you deliver the Amazon on Sundays and holidays. So if you're looking for a part-time little job just doing packages, it's kind of fun. I mean, it's better than doing mail and packages, in my opinion. So hook it up because most of the post office are always looking for people.
If you happen to live around Chiefland,
they need some replacements.
There's 3 ARC positions, and all 3 of them are about to go bye-bye. So
they need people.
They're going to need people.
Go on the postal website if you want to do that part-time, and you're just looking for some grocery money every week. there you go.
Yeah.
No benefits or anything
No
like that, but
benefits,
it's about
no.
$20 an hour.
$20 an hour.
So,
yeah. And during Christmas, you'll be busy because you'll be, for about 3 weeks during Christmas, you'll be asked to come in and help run packages.
that's right.
You don't have to go. You're not committed to go, but it's extra money, and it pays pretty well for what you're doing. I mean, it's really brainless work. I mean, you're just, you know.
Well, jeez. Thanks.
It doesn't take a degree.
You don't need a degree to
Right,
do it,
no.
but you definitely need some patience. Because anyone who works at the post office knows why you need patience. Yes, we will be in Otter Creek during Christmas.
Yes.
We wouldn't miss Creek. So we had so much fun there last time, although we didn't get to see as much of
we
the
were out
inside.
on the road in the rain directing traffic.
We were parking cars and directing traffic and making sure nobody got hurt out there. So, but it was fun to watch the video later to see all the little kids' faces lighting up, and you know, that's so special, and that's what it's about. Yeah. So, but we had fun even so in the rain, parking cars. At least nobody got hurt.
It was exciting how many people came to that. That was insane.
It was.
They went all the way to the traffic light and then made a turn toward Chiefland.
It was. And, you know, again, thank you to Jeremy and George for all the things they do for everybody. They're very generous people. And all of y'all, the whole Hales family, very generous people. So
what they're going through.
This is what people are supposed to do. You are blessed to be a blessing. Keep doing that and doing the right thing, and the good will always win. Because God is in control.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind and do the right thing. That's all I've got. Unless you got anything else. Oh, there was one other thing.
Oh yeah, the place named Chicken. I've never taken that far north highway. What is it called? The far north highway? I forget what it's called. I think it's the farthest north highway. But it comes into Toke. I think it starts just after, I can't remember where it starts. But it goes up and over, and there's a ferry at the top to cross the border. You cross the border on a ferry. We're thinking about doing that. We'll have to look at the road conditions. I don't want to tear this RV up. So we'll look at the road conditions because it's mostly dirt, gravel. We'll have to look and see how far that is. We would like to get down to Seward because there's actually a military base, not a base, but park there that's ran by MWR. And we can get on those fishing charters really cheap down there as opposed to a commercial.
Haynes Highway, someone was saying.
Haynes Highway. Oh, that's toward the Haynes cutoff.
Or the Alcan.
Yeah, the Alcan is the main #1 highway that gets you into Alaska. That's the only way up there.
Yep. And something else I want to do soon. I would like to make some t-shirts for us to wear, some Madam Mayor's Adventure shirts. So if anybody has any neat designs, feel free to email them to us at madammayorsadventures@gmail.com. So
if you have questions, mail your questions.
Yeah, you can email questions to us.
It's a lot easier to get to your questions in the email than in the chat.
Yeah, sometimes it's really hard to read. And like I said, we'll get better at all this as we go along. Right. It's been great spending time with y'all, but I guess we should let everybody get back to doing stuff.
What they do, yeah.
Maybe we should go hit the pool or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we thank you for joining us. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you. We love you all. And we'll talk to you all soon. Take care of each other.
Bye-bye.